True Hill Heat 24. This is our newest segment. This is called The Count. This is where we give you a top 5 of some kind, and on the heels of the Royal Rumble, we're going to be talking about, with our first The Count segment, the top 5 greatest superstars to never win a Royal Rumble. Each of us had our different criteria as we came up with our own top 5, and then together we came up with this consistent top 5 of the greatest superstars to never win a Royal Rumble. Some of us have a criteria of their impact on professional wrestling. Some of us stuck to the correct criteria of what they actually did in the Royal Rumble. We're going to be talking about that. Number 5 on our greatest superstars to never win the Royal Rumble is none other than the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was on your top 5 list as well as your top 5 list. So why was he included here?
For a 3, 4, 5 year period, literally the greatest wrestler on the planet. Not a person alive. And there's another conversation that's probably going to be a part of another subject of mine later on. But for somebody that extremely talented to have been in a number of Rumbles that he's been in, and then to get eliminated in some of the fashions that he's gotten eliminated in, was strictly blasphemy. There was one Rumble that he was in the match for literally 60 seconds. Complete garbage.
That's true.
That he lasted in there, suplexed everybody to get super kicked out of the ring by Shawn Michaels in a minute.
Hey, it set up one of the greatest matches at WrestleMania ever.
We're talking about Kurt fucking Angle. A minute?
We still hold him near and dear to our hearts.
Hey, he was able to get away with that and have one of the best matches at WrestleMania that year.
He ain't need the Rumble to have the best match. He's that damn good.
Yeah, that's true too. But obviously, me and JJ had him on our list or whatever. He was on mine from an emotional standpoint. Kurt Angle's done everything in the WWE. There hasn't been anything he hasn't done except for this. So that's the main reason he was on my list. He should have won the Royal Rumble at one point.
Once.
At least once, because it cements him with everybody else. So, he's one of those legacy superstars who, if that's not on his list of accomplishments, it's like, what the fuck is he there for?
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely Kurt Angle has a good resume when it comes to the Royal Rumble. He has about 3 top 4 finishes. He was the runner-up in 2002 where Triple H eliminated him last. He had great setup of great rivalries for WrestleMania in the Royal Rumble, like the one you just mentioned with Shawn Michaels. So not a bad pick at all by picking Kurt Angle. So I won't say you guys are wrong, but definitely Kurt Angle does have a couple of credentials in the Royal Rumble that makes him valid in this countdown. So number 4, we have the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior, this was one person you really argued for being on this list here. Ultimate Warrior is a person that you were actually shocked never won the Royal Rumble. So what do you think about Ultimate Warrior being a part of the greatest superstars to never win a Royal Rumble match?
You know what's funny is that Warrior was so shocking, he actually thought the Warrior won one. That's how I thought he won one. I thought that was his pathway to fighting Hulk Hogan. Obviously, this shit was goddamn 3 decades ago, but, sometimes you get enlightened and that's like, holy shit.
I was surprised myself to learn that he didn't win one either. But at the end of the day, he's probably the biggest superstar of his era not to win one in comparison to someone else who didn't win one as well. That we spoke about, that being Randy Savage. But yeah, man, he is just one of those superstars that sticks out like a sore thumb. The impact he had on the business. The impact he had on the WWE in that time frame, for him not to win the Rumble, yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, he had the big stare down in 1990 with Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble match. That's probably his biggest moment in the Royal Rumble. And other than that, I think that was probably his only Royal Rumble appearance. Maybe he appeared in one other one besides that, but that is shocking that Ultimate Warrior never won a Royal Rumble and never made even bigger impact in the Royal Rumble. So that is one, necessarily I didn't have him in my top 5, but I understand why you guys have him there, because it is surprising that he's never won one. And because in 1990, he probably should have won that Royal Rumble because the champion, Hulk Hogan himself, won the Royal Rumble that year
what
for
the
no
fuck?
reason.
That was the what? How did champion win his own Rumble? Yo, that's when Hulk Hogan was literally sucking his own dick.
Well, at that time, the winner of the Royal Rumble didn't get a shot at WrestleMania, so it's understandable.
So he participated and won his own match.
A lot of people argue our number 3 pick for our count should have won that Royal Rumble. Not even Ultimate Warrior, but this man should have won the Royal Rumble, and it's probably one of the main reasons I had him in my top 5, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect was the runner-up in the 1990 Royal Rumble, and a lot of people at that time felt that Mr. Perfect should have won the Royal Rumble. So, me personally, that's the main reason why I put him on my list. That felt like a perfect time to give Mr. Perfect an elevation to the main event level. Mr. Perfect is one of like those superstars that all the people talk about for the last 25, 30 years, of one of those guys that should have been a WWF champion or should have at least been a challenger for the WWF champion. And just like JJ, you know, kind of hinted at before, the Hulk Hogan and the politics of Hulk Hogan and who Hulk Hogan wanted to work with was the reason why Mr. Perfect never got that elevation up. So that's why I had him in my top 5 for the greatest to never win a Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, that's a consensus part for me. In my eyes, he's probably the best Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Yes.
But you know, for him to never win the Rumble,
that's definitely debatable.
Right, obviously, but you know, opinion is opinion. But for him never to be elevated to the stratosphere of the Hogans and the Savages and the Warriors in his time, him being the best in-ring worker of the bunch.
Absolutely.
It was just one of those things that kind of fucking boggled my mind.
Yeah.
It just, and that's why he was my number 2 on my list. So that's why I was like, yo, this dude's got to be on the fucking list. There's just no fucking way. You know?
And Perfect, unfortunately, wasn't on my list because of the people that I had on there, and 2 honorable mentions that's not on the top 5, so he's not on there. Is Macho Man Randy Savage is not one of Royal Rumble guys. He's not won one. And then the other name, obviously Macho Man is one of the most recognizable names in all of sports. He's one of the biggest and larger-than-life characters. He literally was a cartoon-made guy. He was literally he was people's hero. He was people's villain. He was everything that you can ever imagine in a persona. The other guy that I kind of had a gripe against, in my opinion, and I didn't really get to speak about it that much, was the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He's been in the Royal Rumble almost every year during his little prime, but never really won one at all. And his character was so held back because of the Hulk Hogan politics that he never had the chance to shine either, even though he was one of the greatest villains in WWF history. But obviously, it's hard to argue against somebody with the legendary status of Mr. Perfect. So it's like he's there. He wasn't a part of my list, maybe because I didn't think of him one time, but he's somebody he's hard to argue against. He really is. He really is. His in-ring work was phenomenal. This shit went into the 2000s even. Yeah. Like that's incredible for somebody to enter the Royal Rumble in 2000 and he looked like he looked like the same guy that he was in the late 80s. Like it was crazy.
And that's another reason why I had him in my top 5 is because of that run in 2002 where he surprised everyone at his age and coming in the Royal Rumble, being able to keep up with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Kurt Angle, all those guys. So Mr. Perfect definitely deserves to be on this list of the greatest superstars to never win a Royal Rumble.
Just to mention one more thing about him, you know, injuries kind of played his career or whatever and whatnot. But that to caveat off your point for the 2002 thing, the dude didn't even fucking age.
Nope.
He was in there.
He looked exactly the same.
It's amazing to see that there's some professional wrestlers who can do that. As we all know how professional wrestling is for some of the guys behind the scenes and how many professional wrestlers have died over the years.
Kurt Hennig pulled it off.
And he pulled it off.
He pulled it off, man.
To the dying day. So speaking of great workers, at number 2, we got Danny O'Brien. Danny O'Brien, of course, is the man that set the new marker for the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble in the greatest Royal Rumble back in April of 27. This is a man that is most notably known for being the man that should have won the 2014 Royal Rumble that Batista won back in 2014, that Daniel Bryan was probably the hottest superstar in all of the WWE. He was also the man that the WWE Universe wanted to win the 2015 Royal Rumble, which Roman Reigns won. So you guys had Daniel Bryan high up on your list, so tell them why.
The reason why is because he threatened to ban me from True Hill Heat because of my fickle cup. But this list is fickle because Daniel Bryan, like, guys, there's a reason why he was plummeted, that he was skyrocketed into that main event of WrestleMania 30. He was the odds on. He was supposed to win that shit. It was clear as fucking day. He was the hottest thing in wrestling. And he got eliminated. Like, his elimination was pure trash. It was so sudden. It was not even at a point. It wasn't even at a high point in the Rumble. It was just one of those off spots. We were like, holy shit! Like, the favorite just got eliminated. Like, it was horrible. And then they carried it on with the most unpopular guy trying to get assisted by the most popular guy, which resulted in them both getting booed. Like, no, fuck all of y'all. The winner got eliminated like an hour ago. Like,
pretty much, that was bad.
He's one of those guys.
Daniel Bryan deserved one win at it.
This current generation. Obviously, he's one of the bigger stars of this current generation of wrestlers. That's one particular point as to why he should have won a Royal Rumble.
Fickle booking. Fickle booking.
And for me, it's the reason as to why he was so high up on my list. The year he should have been in the Rumble and he wasn't. That particular year, I was like, you know what, man? The WWE just doesn't fucking get it. They don't get it. I understand what happened afterwards, but it's like, dude, it's like JJ was saying, strike while the iron is hot. It was like, why not do that? It's like, anyways, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to fucking call him. That man deserved to win a Royal Rumble. He probably will sometime in the next 2.5 years. But hey, he hasn't won one yet, and that's why he was.
Well, 2019 is off the books.
Right.
He the champ.
He's the champ, so he's not gonna be in the Royal Rumble. So we had to put him on our list. And number one, you guys consistently, all three of us had this as our number one, is the Iron Man of all the Royal Rumbles, the man that has the total longest time in the Royal Rumble, almost at 5 hours. The Alpha, Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho was my number one because he was the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble. I have countless other moments that I can name from Chris Jericho. His surprise appearance in 2013 where he surprised Dolph Ziggler at being number one in the Royal Rumble was one time. Back in 2012, his big finale with Sheamus to end the Royal Rumble was another great time that I remember. His great one in 2017 where he went over 59 minutes just hiding under the ring and hiding on the apron the whole time. Just a whole bunch of great runs for Chris Jericho in the Royal Rumble. What do you guys remember the most from him?
The man spent almost 5 hours. 5 hours in the Royal Rumble match with nothing to show for it. That's a travesty. Like, we've had wrestling greats. We've had Ric Flair. We've had Chris Benoit. We've had Rey Mysterio. We've had Randy Orton. We've had John Cena's not a great wrestler. We've had wrestling greats win it. And the fact that he, the only undisputed champion to never win once, is a fucking crime of wrestling. But you know what? He took that crime and shoved it down everyone's throat and gave every WWE fan the middle finger over the past couple of years to cement his status as one of the greatest, if not people's argument could be the greatest longevity wrestler of all time. That's what he's doing with that shit.
You know, the Ayatollah of rock and roller, the man who created the list. There's just countless other things that he's done in his career besides the championships, which just makes him one of the characters in wrestling that should have won a Royal Rumble at some point in his career. I mean, the 5 hours alone, it's like, God damn, dog, what else he got to do? You know what I'm saying? So
5 hours.
That's a lot, dog. That's just a lot. And I feel like, you know, to JJ's point about him being like he's 47 years old right now, as we speak, and he's still going, dog. And it's not like he's slowing down. You know, he just
signed a long-term contract to AEW.
He signed a 3-year deal with AEW.
That's a long-term contract in wrestling.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know, the body's starting to show a bit, obviously, because he's getting older. But, you know, he's still doing what he has to do in that ring.
I want to look like that at 47.
Absolutely.
And he's still
47.
And he's still so creative with what he does
niggas
outside of the ring.
Yo, people at 17 don't look like that.
True, good point. But, but you know, I feel like, yo, he's the greatest, arguably, right? He's the greatest superstar of all time, right? Arguably, but he's probably the greatest superstar, according to us, right now, to never win this Rumble.
That's consensus.
Yeah. Absolutely,
that is consensus. Even just thinking about the travesty of him not winning once. Everything that man has done as far as his character, his in-ring ability, his work, his versatility to be with anybody and make something magical of it. Not one. And he's been in a lot of Royal Rumbles.
So
clearly 5 hours.
We just named. So we named for Warrior 1990 or Mr. Perfect in 1990, and we named for Bryan 2014. What would you say was the year Chris Jericho should have won the Royal Rumble? In my eyes, it was 2012 when he came back with the silent promos and the vignettes, and Sheamus won out of nowhere, and that led to Sheamus's 18 seconds win over Danny O'Brien. I feel like that was the year Chris Jericho should have won the Royal Rumble to verse CM Punk at WrestleMania 28.
That would probably have been the year that I agree with, the year that I'm glad that you pointed out 2012, because the year that I would have said that Sheamus won. Sheamus won to me for absolutely no reason. Mm-hmm. He had no steam,
and that's another thing
that was Vince's last push of the big muscular guy.
That's a top 5 that we should freaking argue. The most useless winners of the Royal Rumble.
Hey,
we might need a top 10 for that.
If you guys want us hear that,
you might need a top 10 for that. Looking at this motherfucking list, we might need a top 10 for that.
For our next edition of The Count, put that in the comment section if you want to hear that. The most useless Royal Rumble winners, top 5 of all time. Honorable mentions for the people that we named that we didn't talk about. Randy Savage was up there. Rick Rude. Myself, I also put Kane and The Big Show on my list. And of course, Kofi Kingston and his magical stunts in the Royal Rumble. Those are some of the names
also
that we named.
Man.
$1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Some of the names that we named in our honorable mentions. Please post in the comment section what you thought about the first edition of The Count. Like, share, and subscribe, and check us out for more True Heel Heat.